Hey there, friends, our golf friends. How you doing out there? Thank you for joining us tonight. We are continuing this journey over the next 5 weeks to discover the secrets of your next best shot. And we have an amazing lineup, not just only tonight with Sara Davis, who's joining us, but also several other experts who are really giving us a holistic view of our mindset, fitness, and golf. And in the words of Bobby Jones, golf is the closest game to the game we call life. You get bad breaks from good shots, you get good breaks from bad shots, but you have to play the ball where it lies. And we know golf is a game for a lifetime, whether you're 95 years old or whether you're 3 years old. It's an amazing sport because it really spans multiple generations and you could play for a lifetime. So, those of you who don't know me, my name is Tina Hong. I'm an executive wellness and mindset coach for the last decade and a half. I've worked exclusively with midlife professionals to lose up to 100 pounds of body fat, drop chronic fatigue, burnout, and other health issues. And I've helped clients turn their health around by helping their relationship with themselves, transforming habits and their long term results. And one of the common things that I've learned over the years working with clients is this is a common comment I hear often. I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. So I was fascinated by this universal comment. And over the years, I continue to try to understand why people can't get out of their own way. And is it the situation? Is it the environment? Is it about confidence? What is it? Is it about beliefs? And I wanted to take a holistic view about golf. So I wanted to bring in um, uh, professionals who are in the golf category who could give us some more insights for women who golf. So thank you for joining me. And thank you for joining me, Sara. Sara Davis is joining us from Kiowa Island, South Carolina. She is one of my golf coaches. I have multiple golf
Yeah.
coaches because I need every bit of coaching I can get. And I met Sara down in Kiowa, South Carolina, and she is just amazing. She's one of the lead instructors of Kiowa Island Club. And thank you for joining us, Sara. Do you want to say hi before I give?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think you hinted on a lot of cool things, and as a coach, it's cool to hear that people come to you and say the same thing that they know what they're doing wrong, but they just don't fix it. It's the same thing as being a golf coach.
Right, exactly, exactly. So let's get to the bottom of that. So a little bit about Sara. She's originally from Detroit, Michigan. She studied media communications and radio, digital, and TV at
Mhm.
Lawrence Technical University. But after her college years, she performed as a dual sport athlete, competing in both golf and volleyball. And her journey in golf really began when her volleyball scholarship was in jeopardy, prompting her to explore other avenues to fund her education, which ultimately led her to the game that would shape her career. She is a lead golf instructor at the prestigious Kiowa Island Club and a Class A PGA member. She brings a passionate, player focused approach to instruction, dedicated to helping golfers enjoy the game while realizing their full potential. She specializes in simplifying the golf swing and taking a comprehensive approach to coaching. And she not only emphasizes the technical aspect of it, but also long term health and performance. So she is TPI certified and integrates golf fitness into her instruction, which is awesome, helping players enhance their mobility, stability, flexibility, and improve their performance and reduce injury and risk. And for those of you who joined us last week with Janice Thornton, she was the Fit for Golf coach from Scottsdale, Arizona. We talked a lot about being over 40 and golfing and what does it really take in terms of fitness, flexibility? What do you need to keep that in mind? So I love that Sara continues this conversation around fitness and how important it is for golfers. Oh yeah, so
Mhm.
Janice just she just made a comment on LinkedIn. Look forward to learning from Sarah. So thanks, Janice, for joining us. You were awesome last week. So Sarah enjoys working with golfers of all levels, even though she's a competitive athlete, competitive golfer, from beginners to seasoned players. And her philosophy is really centered on building confidence, improving all aspects of the game. And I love that. So, Sarah mentioned focusing on meaningful improvement by understanding each student's learning style and individual challenges. I love this because I'm very much fascinated about what's the difference between women and men. As they're learning, as they're getting into the game of golf, as they're on the course, tell us, Sarah, of all the years that you've been coaching clients and golfers, both men and women, what is the difference? What are some of the common themes that you have experienced between men and women?
Really good question. So, first and foremost, I think that a beginner golfer, whether it's a male or a female, is always intimidated. And a lot of women will be like, well, men probably don't feel this way. They just go out on the golf course. But no, I do teach a handful of men who have worked their whole lives and retired, and now they're getting into golf. And everybody has that level of intimidation and the level of embarrassment. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that learning styles are just different across the board. And that's where it's my job as your coach to learn how to say the same thing 500 different ways. And sometimes it's me showing a video, other times it's me grabbing onto your hands and showing you the movement to make. Um, but I would say that men maybe take the step of getting out on the golf course quicker than women do.
Mhm.
And I don't exactly know why. I find myself always saying, like, you don't have to go out there and keep a score, but go play.
Mhm.
And I think as a coach, it's really important for all golfers, middle-aged golfers, young golfers, new, good, whatever, just golfers to be very target focused and to try to be getting your golf ball to go to a certain place, whether
Mhm.
you're playing or practicing. And I think that both men and women lose sight of where the ball's actually trying to go and get too
Mhm.
wrapped up in concepts and theories.
Mm. I love that. So instead of just really intuitively, figuring out where the ball needs to go, we get so wrapped up in our technique, our posture, our swing,
Mhm.
all the little
Mhm.
minutia that we forget where the ball's really needing to go, right?
Right, and if it rolls there, it's okay,
Mhm.
As long
Right.
as it's going there, it's fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are the differences between you know, women who are just getting started in midlife versus younger players? We're seeing a lot more younger women come into the
Mhm.
game of golf. I know that as as a chapter director for LPGA amateurs locally, I'm just fascinated. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Like a lot of younger women
Mhm.
are coming out to play in leagues and so
For
forth.
sure.
So what's the difference between women who are in midlife or about to retire or close to retirement and getting into the game of golf?
Yeah, I would say that one of the best things that you can do as someone who is new to the game, no matter younger, older, what point of life you're in, try to find a buddy and
Mhm,
learn with a buddy because it makes taking all of those next steps that much more simple. And the thing where golf, I believe, is intimidating, whether you're new or you've been playing, if you just join a new golf club or I go play golf at a course that I'm invited to, I feel the same level of intimidation as you don't know all the protocols. Like, do you go in the pro shop? Can you put your shoes on in the parking lot? Where's the driving range? Where do you park the golf cart? And if you are finding all of that stuff out with a buddy, it's so much easier to laugh at yourselves than it is to have all this pressure and anxiety of where am I going to go and what am I trying to do. But I
Mm,
would say that's one of the best things you can do is try to find a group, try to find a person, because then when it is time, and it doesn't take that long when it's time for you to actually take that step and get out on the golf course and play, you have someone to do it with. And then not only that, you have someone to celebrate all the highs with that you're about to encounter
mm.
throughout your time playing golf.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. I encourage women to be a part of organized golf locally
Mhm.
in your neighborhoods, whether it's an LPGA amateurs chapter or a golf club or, a private club or a public club. Joining a league, it's about women connecting with women, and that is so incredibly important. And I think the difference that I've experienced is when I first started playing, I just played with men because I didn't have any
Right.
women buddies to play with. So
Mhm.
I would get out on the golf course and, it was bold of me, but I was like, "Oh, screw it. I'm just gonna go out there and I'm just gonna have fun."
Yeah.
Just, I'm not gonna make a total jerk of myself. I try not to, but just go out
Yeah.
there and have a good time. And I played with mostly men when I first started playing. And it just it's completely different than playing with women.
Mhm.
Women support each other, women connect with each other, they cheer each other on. And men
Mhm.
do that too to a certain extent.
Yeah,
But it's just a different experience when women are playing with women. And
for
so
sure. I
and
also think something that's so important and something that I find myself reminding my students all the time, especially those that are new to the game, is every single person that is swinging that golf club, whether they started when they were 4, whether they started when they were 20, whether they started when they were 40, they were you at one point.
mm,
And nobody, if they're judging you, don't go play golf with them anymore because there are so many people out there that aren't going to judge you,
mm,
and find those people, be enjoyable to be with, and just keep in the back of your brain that you're doing the best that you can. And every single person that is swinging that golf club on the course the day that you are there, they've all been you before. We've
mm,
all been there.
right. And women, it's one of the biggest challenges for women is just developing that confidence.
Mhm.
Getting up on that tee box. And I ran a Fit for Golf clinic years ago during right after the pandemic. And, I asked the participants, I'm like, what are some of the thoughts that come up when you get up on the tee box? And a lot of times, some of the languaging and the dialogue in our own brain is like, "Oh, I'm gonna really screw
Don't
this
hit it there. Don't do this.
up.
Don't
Don't,
top it into
don't,
the
don't." Yeah,
bunker.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that language is in our mind as we're up on the
Mhm.
tee box. So
Mhm.
imagine if how can we change the language, Sarah? When you get up on that tee box, how can we change that language, in our head as we get up on that first tee? Any
So
suggestions?
one thing, and this is kind of like my latest dive, is the mental side because I compete and I had a couple glimpses of greatness and some really good tournament rounds where like my mental game was there and then it wasn't. So I figured it was time to get better at it. But one of the first things that I do is I look, obviously, if I'm looking at a fairway and there's bunkers, I try to identify the trouble first, simply because then it's the last thing that I think about before I actually hit the shot. And so it's like recognize, for example, there's bunkers on the left, there's bunkers on the left, and then work away from it. And I always suggest too, it's not so much about what to do and what not to do, it's just awareness and discovering, okay, there's the trouble. Don't tell yourself, don't hit it in the trouble, just acknowledge it and then pick a good target. And one of the best things I've heard is pick a target if you can that's high up in the sky because typically if we think about it, the trouble is on the ground. And so if we're looking at a cart sign or we're looking at a mound that's on the ground, odds are that bunker, that hazard is somewhere in your vision where if you pick a building or a tree or something that's high up, then what you say to yourself is, all right, I'm going to hit this ball at that tree or at that target. So then we skip over all of this self talk. And then once the shot is hit, did it go towards the target? Yes, no. And then we move on. It doesn't need to be any negative self talk. I mean, one of the greatest things to keep in mind of golf is the second that golf ball leaves your club, you lose control, whether you think you do or not. But the
Mm,
second that golf ball launches off the club face, the world is now in control. The
mm,
air, the trees, the ground. You can hit a perfect shot that hits a sprinkler head and kicks in the pond, and you did nothing wrong. And
right.
so it's not worth your time and energy to negative self talk yourself.
Yeah, that's such great advice. Instead of focusing on the trouble, create a different target. Focus on the
Hmm.
target. So, how much, I mean, is how far do you take that visualization, Sarah, when you're playing competitively? Like, do you actually visualize yourself? Visualize the ball landing, the trajectory
Yeah,
of it? Like, how much of that should be in play when we're playing just leisure golf and casual golf with our friends? And we all wanna do really well. So what can you tell us a
for
little bit about?
sure. Yes. So, this is where practice comes into play. And this
Mm,
is where I think that we all can be guilty of not spending enough time in the practice range.
mm,
But so pretty much what I've been encouraging everybody, including myself, is we spend time on the driving range to make our swing and our foundation good enough. So when we step out on the golf course, the only thing we're thinking about is the target. We're not thinking about our rotation or our knee staying bent or keeping our head down. It's really just there's my target. This is where I'm trying to hit it. The question of visualization is really fascinating because I've been playing around a lot with this and
mhm,
kind of sort of like Jordan Spieth. So Jordan Spieth has talked a lot about being able to visualize his putts on the green and see them go in the hole. I
mhm,
would say that's something I'm able to do as well.
mhm,
However, when it comes to my actual golf ball flying through the air, I have a hard time seeing it. And I try to when I'm practicing seeing my ball flight, I play a little draw. I try to visualize it, but what I've learned, especially in a competitive situation where, you are on a little bit of a timer, there's other people in your group,
mhm,
it's a lot easier for me to just more or less see a straight golf ball. And I would say over time, I'm going to really work towards being able to see a little bit more of my ball flight. But I just try to see if you can picture on the PGA Tour, the little shot tracer that they show. I
yeah,
just try to picture it dead straight at
mm,
my target that's up in the sky with all of my clubs. However, with my putting, I am actually able to see the
mm,
shape that it's going in and then going in the hole. But I think it's everything. I mean, I think we've all deep down inside of us had that putt that we've stood over and we've just known that it was going to go in. And
mm.
I believe that that's visualization as well, is feeling like it's going to happen and believing that it's going to happen as well as being able to execute on what's happening.
I love that. Yeah, trusting your
Hmm.
trusting your swing, and often,
Yes.
and especially for women, we don't trust ourselves, and it comes down to confidence, but oftentimes when we're playing with spouses, with men, we get
Hmm.
criticized. I mean, this really does
Yes,
happen on the golf course. I
it
hear it,
does.
I see it, and
Yes. And
and
it's
those
interesting
yeah,
that you say that
yeah,
because something just popped in my head
yeah,
of what do you see the difference between men and women getting into the game is
mm,
I think, and we appreciate you golf coach husbands. Like we know that you mean well and all of your advice is sincere. However, yes, teach your wife or your spouse how to move along, but don't make her move along so quickly that she neglects her game so you can take your time. And I see that a lot. And I have to tell, I would say 95% of my female students don't take a practice swing simply because they don't want to take so much time.
Mm.
Meanwhile, once I bring it to their attention, they're like, my husband does 3 practice swings. So take your
Throw it out
time, do
there.
it in a structure where do it while your playing partner is hitting, get your routine. Don't be the person that has a 2-minute long routine, but you are entitled to your own time. Everybody is, and you have to be selfish.
Mm,
However, once you are at your max, I would say it's recommended to pick it up so you're not holding up the golf course.
mm,
But don't always be the one that's rushing through your routine and picking up your golf ball
mm.
while everybody else takes their time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice. And, you know, if you off and those of you who are out there, if you have any questions, feel free to type it into the comments. We can see your comments where this is live streaming. So if you have questions, throw it out there and we'll get Sarah to we'll have a discussion about it. But one of the things is that's why it's so important for women to connect with women and play with other women because they build
Exactly.
confidence around that. And they don't get as nervous. And maybe they do, but women can be very supportive of one another, which is great. So
Yes.
um oh, Jana said, I have ladies who run around the course, especially by the green, always trying to hurry.
Always trying to hurry. Yep.
Yeah, that's what screws me up too, and I like to play fast, but sometimes I just have to dial it back, like half
Yes.
a revolution or half a swing. You like
Yes.
slow the swing down. So tell us, like,
Yes.
yeah, what happens? What is there a technique or recommendation in terms of really like zoning everything out that could be an interruption in our brain when we're actually about to take a shot. You have any advice
Yes.
about that?
Uh-huh. And this has been, I would say, a weakness of mine, that I have needed. So I actually kind of did the flip side, playing competitively. I always say that it's challenging. Golf is challenging because we're constantly checking in and checking out, and checking in and checking out. Like we're hitting the shot and then we're chit-chatting and then
Mhm,
we're hitting a shot and then we're chit-chatting. And so what I would try to do in competitive rounds, and if my mental coach was listening to this, he would laugh, is just focus the whole time. And so, I mean, these are competitive rounds. They're probably 4.5, 5 hours. I don't
mhm,
think in anything that we do in our life can we focus for 5 hours from start to
mm,
finish. And so by the time I would get to like 11, I'd start to check out. And so what I would say is enjoy the walk, enjoy the ride, enjoy the in between because there's a lot of it.
mm,
However, 10 seconds before, you shut it all off. You focus on what you're trying to do. Maybe this is where, you do your good rehearsal, your good practice swing, and you feel that little thing that you and your coach have been working on, and you're starting to pick your target. And I always say, like, move because we need to start releasing tension from our body because the stiller we get, the stiffer we get. And
mm,
so take 10 seconds before, hit your shot, 10 seconds after, and then shut it back off because the reality is we don't really know what the
mm,
shot that we're about to hit looks like until we're
mm,
standing directly behind it. And
mm,
so the second we hit that ball in the bunker though, we're like, oh gosh, now I'm in the bunker and I'm short-sided and now I'm going to have to hit it out far and probably two putt and make bogey, and it's like,
mm.
just wait a second. You might not even be in the bunker. So I like 10 seconds before, focus on your shot, 10 seconds after, but then other than that, get to know the people that you're playing with, have a good time outside of that, even if it's competitive.
I love that. That's really great. My the leading question from that explanation, which is awesome, Sarah, is ho you're absolutely right. How do we maintain focus for 4.5 hours, 5 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, how do we train our brains to turn it off and on over 5 hours, over different shots every single time we shoot. What's the best
Yeah.
way to train our minds to shut it off, shut it on? I mean, turn it on.
Yeah, I would say practice comes down to it because
Mm,
the reason that you're more unable to execute is simply because your brain is racing over that shot because of lack of reps. And this has kind of like been my harsh reality recently is accepting like, yeah, you've played a lot, but you haven't put a lot of the playing or the practice reps in. And so when you're playing, you're kind of searching between playing and practice more or less, which is fine in itself,
mm,
but classify that. But I would say it's being confident enough in your swing and your shot through practice that
mm,
when you get out on the golf course, our goal should be to look at our target and swing at our target.
mm,
However, that takes a lot of work and that takes a lot of practice. That takes a lot of lessons. That takes a lot of understanding what you're doing and knowing what you're doing, and that's where myself as a coach comes in. Like, we develop a plan, and I try really hard to give my students one thing. And maybe they come to me and they want 20 things. But the way that I look at it is if I give you one thing and you have 2 weeks until I see you again, I like our chances of you fixing that one thing more than I like our chances of you fixing 20. And
mm,
so build on these little building blocks and then it becomes just more simple. I really don't believe, and maybe somebody that has more of a certification in terms of psychology would have a better answer, but I don't necessarily think it's like a secret formula, but I think
mm,
it's just hard work and reps that
mm,
become confident enough in that
mm,
when you're out on the golf course, you're not going through that process as much and you're just looking at your target and you're hitting your targets.
I love that. Yeah. Actually, we have a psychologist, golf coach joining us, Dr. Rich Goldberg, on the 18th, August 18th. He's going to be live with.
Awesome.
But I've heard him speak, and that's why I invited him to this show. One of the things he said was just take a breath, just
Yes.
acknowledge, get in the
Just
present
breathe.
and take a breath.
Yes.
And this
Yes.
is very common to coaching my clients who are working on their wellness objectives and their weight loss objectives or the health turnaround objectives is, focus on the present instead of racing
Mhm.
ahead to the future and instead of
Totally.
replaying the past, the last hole,
Yes.
be
Yes.
absolutely present. And one very simple tool is just to get to your breath, acknowledge your breath.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yes.
So we have a bunch of
Totally agree.
coming in here.
Okay.
Let's see. Mary said, "This is my second year on a league, and I'm so close to breaking 100. Any tips for the short game?" Maybe we could kind of
Yeah.
add to that question is, how do we train? How should we train, Sarah? What do you
Yes.
recommend in terms of training for
Yeah.
beginner golfers, intermediate golfers, or even competitive golfers? Give us the breakdown.
So, first and foremost,
Mm,
practice when you're motivated. And this is a hard thing for me as a dual sport athlete. It's practice when you have to practice. It doesn't matter if you're tired or you're motivated. Practice when you're motivated, simply because you're going to get more out of it than you are of forcing yourself to go. I'm
mm,
not opposed to forcing yourself to go. I still force myself to go, but stay for as long as you're able to focus, because the second you stop focusing, you start to essentially develop bad habits. But
mm,
I'm a big current believer because so down in Kiowa right now, today the real feel was 114 degrees. So it's hard to spend a lot of time out there. And I think that that's kind of just the reality of everybody's lives is we only have so much time.
mm,
So I'm a big believer in, first of all, practice your putting every day because you touch your putter every single hole. And if your putting is not great, you are throwing shots away. And that's just that.
Mhm.
PGA Tour players make, I want to say it's 90% of 4-footers or 3-footers. And there's no excuse that we can't be the same as that. I mean, we're 3 feet away from the cup. It's a really impressive statistic, but we should still be able to be better. But
Mm,
then when it comes to actually practicing, I'm really big on practicing in segments. So take a day, practice your short game and your wedges. And then another day, work on your irons. Another day, work on your hybrids, driver, and woods. And try to structure it. However, when you're doing that, have a goal in mind. Like, what are you hoping to get out of it? And I think that this looks different for everybody. I
mm,
think that there's direction, there's how far is the ball carrying? How far am I hitting the ball? Learning your distances and learning your tendencies. And this is one of the funniest things that one of my favorite questions to ask someone is, what's your miss? And
mm,
people look at me like, my miss? What do you mean? And I'm like, why are you here? Like, what's the miss that makes you feel like you need a lesson?
mm,
And so identify your tendency. My tendency is my ball goes right to left. When it gets bad, it goes too far right to left. That's
mhm,
my tendency. But it's like identify what that is. Is does the ball stay low? Does the ball get high? And then work around that.
mm,
And really start to just understand yourself more or less, because this is an individual sport and we're not in a competition of trying to hit the ball further than everybody and which club am I hitting compared to them. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares what club you hit. Just
mhm,
hit the club that you need to hit.
mm. I love that. That's awesome. That's great advice in terms of how to practice. And oftentimes,
Hmm.
when I first started playing, I just go out on the tee box and I never practiced. But
Right.
now I take concerted efforts and time, even if it's 30 minutes, on just working
Right.
on just a couple of clubs, just
For
on
sure.
52 versus 54. Like,
Yeah,
let me get an
absolutely.
idea of what I'm doing with these, you know?
For
So,
sure.
that's great advice. I love the segmentation of different practices. And so, how many of you guys are actually practicing, even though you're not playing competitively? How often are you practicing? And I love getting into the zone of practicing. It's actually
Yes,
it's zen. It's like
it
it's
is.
meditation.
It's
It's like
fulfilling
it's
too.
fulfilling. It's challenging yourself to just get some correction and improve yourself. And we're also, it teaches us to get present again. I think a lot
Yes.
of times in this world, in our society, we're so much about problem solving with our critical.
Hmm.
We're always problem solving, fixing things. We have to, manage finances. We have to manage households. We have to manage our life, our jobs. And we're always constantly critical thinking. But when you get out into the golf course, what I do is I try to remove all of that and just get super.
Hmm.
And that really does
Yes.
help me. And when I don't get present, I play like total hell.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, me too. It's like, "Oh, my phone's going off, I have to answer an email," and I'm like, "Let me
Oh
go
boy.
hit a 7 iron into
Yeah.
number 4." That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, there's 20 things in your brain right now.
Yeah. So, Mary, I hope that answers your question. Tips for the short game are really segmenting your practice, like Sarah
And
said,
putt.
and
Putt a lot.
putting a lot.
Mhm.
Shave down those putt strokes. Um,
Yes.
let's see. The other question, Jana said, how do you handle slow play? I struggle when I have to wait in between every shot, especially in a tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
Well, I would say a prayer that you are paired with enjoyable people, because I've had slow play in tournaments where I'm paired with extremely unenjoyable people, and I think it gets the best of you. But what I try to do is I try to kind of detach myself from where I am, so to speak. And so I mean, we've all played in events where you're waiting on every single shot. And
Mm,
first of all, if that's the case, don't rush because there's nowhere to go. And actually, everybody taking their time in those situations is going to be better for the whole group because you're not going to be rushed.
mm,
And then you're not going to be rushing and then waiting.
mm,
But what I try to do is like, say, for example, we're sitting on number 7 tee box for a while. I'll get out of the golf cart or if I'm walking and I'll just walk away and maybe I turn around and just try to kind of more or less become one with nature and just become grounded. I take a
mm,
lot of deep breaths, maybe, you know, connect spiritually, say a
mm,
little prayer, just simple grounding, kind of like you said earlier, is just try to be present, but don't be present and getting pissed that you're sitting there waiting for the 13th time today. And you're just going to wait all day because you're going to wait anyways.
yeah.
But I would love if anybody else can crack the code on how not to get frustrated by
Yeah,
slow play in a tournament.
right. It's
That's
kind
a
of
tough one.
yeah, it's kinda like the Zen Buddha thing. It's kinda you have to be neutral. And I've heard this from
Right.
different golf mindset coaches. That's also it's just like play neutral. That's a very Buddhist way of being, is being neutral. I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not angry, I'm not frustrated. I am neutral. I am accepting where we are. So I love
Exactly.
incorporating like Buddhist or spiritual philosophies into the game of golf, and I'm super fascinated by that because it totally makes sense. It's about your game. It's not about competition. So
Right.
yes, I hope that helps. I personally, I love playing with other people in events and tournaments and things like that. But I also sometimes like to go out and play by myself.
I love it.
And I could just
Mhm.
totally focus on my game. A
Mhm.
lot of women are self-conscious about going out there and playing by themselves, but it's like it's just you and you. It's you and the
Yes,
course, you against the course, you and you.
totally,
And,
and that's great advice too for
mm,
beginners, and I say that to all men and women. This is a tougher thing if you're not at a private course
mm,
because however, though, you could always snag a late tee time to go out for a 9 even at a public course, but typically you get paired with people, but
mm,
playing by yourself is
mm,
because you don't have any other voices there besides your own, and I think
mm,
sometimes as women, we get unwanted advice from whether it's a spouse or whether it's just a random person we're playing with that
mm,
truthfully, unless they're a pro, they don't really know what they're talking about either. So
mhm.
I wouldn't advise taking advice from strangers.
Mhm, mhm. Exactly. So, back to the question about practice, Sarah. So, for those people who are playing maybe once a week, is there a proportion of like I play like 2 or 3 times a week, maybe 2
Mhm.
18 hole rounds, 1 9-hole round if I can get it in, sometimes less, sometimes not much more than that. I wouldn't be working at all if I did
Yeah.
essentially, if we're only playing once a week, how much practice should we actually be executing on a weekly basis?
I
Is
would
there
say if so say you really only have 1 day a week to
Mhm,
play golf.
mhm,
Try to get there 30 minutes early and hit some golf balls and use that as practice. I
mm,
also, if you follow my Instagram page, I've just started a new segment that's pretty much targeting people like that who don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of super simple movement patterns that you can do in a mirror at your house or at the
mm,
gym that can
mm,
help you get better at golf. But I would say that for every time that you play, you should try to practice in
mm,
between.
mm,
And, like, if it's before you play, that's fine, but
mm,
I would say that it's critical. It
mm,
really is.
mm,
It's easy
mhm.
to neglect, though.
It is, definitely, definitely, and it takes concerted effort, it's more time too. When you're already
Mhm.
playing 4.5 hours, or 4 hours and 15 minutes and playing 18 holes, that's a lot of time, so you have to carve
Yeah,
think of it as meditation. I just think of it as
for sure.
sometimes what I've done, and I do every once in a while, is I set up a tripod on the range and I just go by myself and I set up the tripod on the range and record my swings.
Good.
I
That's
set up,
great.
I hit the button, and if there's a remote button, I just hit the remote button and I watch myself. I'm like, and then at the end of the video, I say, "Oh, that sucked. Oh no, do that again." Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that was good." And so when I know and when I replay it on the video, I'm like, "Oh, that was good." Now I see, okay, this is what I did when it was good. I
Yes.
don't know.
This is
That's
what a good one
one of the
looks
things I've
like.
done. So
Yes.
Janice says, some women talk too much. I like less talk. I
Touche.
hear you, Jen.
Agreed.
Agreed. Right, right, right. Ann Mitchell says, how do you get the game out of your head? Meaning, how do you take, instead of obsessing over the mechanics? I think we're kind of answering that question, Anne. I believe that this conversation is helping you in terms of getting the mechanics out of your head, hopefully.
And a
Um,
way to kinda just to tail off of that
mm,
is play the golf course. I think so often we get so locked into the swing that we forget that really the main purpose is to try to get the ball around the golf course in the least amount of shots as possible.
mm,
And so maybe the hole goes like this, but there's bunkers strategically placed. Aim around them and play the course, strategize. And it doesn't need to be this big, complex strategy. But again, what I said earlier, look at the trouble, pick a good target, and hit the ball towards your target and play the course.
mm,
Not don't play golf swing, play golf.
mm. I love that. Yeah, and enjoy it, right?
Hmm.
I mean, if you're not enjoying it, you're kind of just taking it out on on the game, right?
Yeah,
You're like, you
yeah.
come into the course and you're angry about something, you're pissed off about something, your husband said something mean to you, and whatever that thought is in your head, just kind of set it aside and get
Hmm.
your breath and enjoy it. I love this game. The power of positive
Yes.
thought is incredibly important in terms of changing our habits, changing our life. And as an NLP practitioner, so I'm trained in NLP and certified, and we learn and I teach clients how to shift their mindset and their beliefs because when we have certain deeply embedded beliefs, it stays with us. That's who we think we
Hmm.
are. And if we get up on that tee box and we believe we stink, stinky's gonna come out.
Yeah, no, for sure.
No,
You're not
and
going to
it's
play
like,
good.
I can do this, and just coaching yourself and saying positive things is huge,
Yes.
and
Yes.
encouraging others. So that's cool. So any other questions from the listeners? And then, let me ask you this, Sarah. What do you have anything else that you wanna share specifically about, um improving the golf game, some misconceptions that women might have as they're training or practicing or getting onto the golf course?
I would say just one big thing is don't be afraid to get out on the golf course. I wouldn't say to jump out there, and this is a hard statement even, is it's not wait until you're ready, because I don't know if we're ever necessarily ready. But
Mm,
even with juniors, like if I teach a 4 or 5 year old or a 6 year old, and we're hitting golf balls at the range for the first 2 3 weeks of lessons, and I notice that he's getting it decently straight and forward, I'll take him out on the golf course, because then he can actually see how that golf ball rolls and reacts, and just take your golf game out to the course
Mm,
after you've started to get familiar with what you're doing. And I think lessons, and I don't just say this as a coach, but I was later to golf myself. I didn't start playing until my scholarship was going to be cut and I was in college. And the first thing that I did was took lessons. And still to this day, I will have people that'll come to me after 35 years of playing golf, and this is their first lesson, which is cool that they picked me. But
mhm,
it's like, how did you enjoy that? Like every time you go out there and you feel like you're trying to figure out what to do, where we're paid to do this, we
mm.
know what to look for and simple ways to help you, but find a coach that can communicate the way that you understand. And don't be afraid to, if you take lessons with somebody and you don't feel that it's helping you, don't be afraid to walk away after trying a couple times. I have had many coaches, and it's okay. We all have different communication styles, but definitely invest in learning and taking lessons.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've had so many different coaches, and sometimes it's not about building hours with the coaches. It's just like focusing on one thing at a time. And I loved
Mhm.
coming to you last time. I think I was working on my wedges with you.
Mhm.
Um, one thing I noticed about your teaching style, you really brought in a lot of intuition into your teaching, which
Mhm.
I loved. It wasn't so much about observing the mechanics, you really
Yeah.
focused on the feel. So,
Uh-huh.
how can people focus more on the feel and utilize that to improve their game?
For sure.
Mm,
First and foremost, as
mm,
one of my most favorite coaches said to me, if you can't do it well slow, you can't do it well fast. And I find
mm,
myself all lesson saying, slow down. Like we're learning. Don't know. This is not me saying like get out on the golf course and slow yourself down. But
mm,
when you're sitting there hitting golf balls and you've never attempted this movement before, do it slowly. Experience what your hands feel like and what your body feels like and what your arms feel like. It's amazing because what I'll do is I'll give a little fix, and then I'll just sit and observe and watch it kind of take place, and then I'll say, "What does that feel like?" And some of the stuff that people will say, like the verbiage, I'm just like, "Yes, do that." And we say some of the weirdest things, but learn your feels. And I'm a big believer that a coach should not tell you what to feel. Maybe a strength coach, absolutely. I mean, you should feel this in your glutes, but
mhm,
in a golf swing, you may feel something in your hands that I may feel in my left knee, that my friend may feel in her right arm. And
mm,
so if I'm sitting there hounding you to feel something that you may never feel, it's
mm,
more or less about you understanding what you feel because you're the one making this swing. And it's okay to ask questions or to name it whatever you name it. I mean, the knee thingy, we all have our little ways that we describe things, and that's
mhm.
fine. And that's what we should do.
I love that. Yeah. I think the feel is really important. I mean, for me, when I get out there and I know I'm hitting the shots really well, it's like I'm
Hmm.
loose. I'm loose and
Yes.
I feel free and I feel grateful. And
Yes.
I'm just like really grateful at that moment and just that crystallization of just freedom to do that. How
Yeah.
lucky am I? And that's something that is huge. And we're often a lot of times people who are control freaks are just like gripping, and I was doing that for
Yeah.
a while, like when in more competitive tournaments. I was like, I grip really hard,
Totally.
and it's like I have to teach myself not to grip really hard and
Yes.
just
Release.
feel, yeah, release and feel free.
Yes.
Yeah, and that feeling is huge in terms of how we play.
Huge.
I
Yes.
think I want to say one thing about for beginners or people who are just getting into the game of golf who are women. There are beginner leagues out there. If you look, there are beginner leagues. You can specifically ask for what level league, is there a beginner league around that I can join? You know,
Mhm.
there's so many different kinds of leagues that are out there. If you do a little research, you can find a beginner league. And one of the things that I try to do in my chapter is I want to encourage mentors, people who are experienced players, to be able to come out to the course. And I've done that for other beginner leagues. I've come out and
Mhm.
with the pace of play and all that stuff. And we don't know those things when we're first starting out, but just
No.
getting the help and getting the support in a local women's golf community, or within your private club, or even a public course. Finding a beginner league, it could help you a lot tremendously in terms of building.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, any other questions from the listeners? So, Sarah has an amazing Instagram page, which I've been following. And I love it because
Thank you.
she really breaks down the swing and techniques in terms of movement. I think the last one that
Mhm.
was just posted today, or I don't know, recently, was about the hip movement and
Yes, yes,
practicing
yes,
the hip, and noticing, and I love that. So, just even very basic things to help you get into the same motion as when you're, teeing up, or when you're taking a swing on the fairway. What is
yes.
the Instagram again, Sarah?
It's S Davis Golf Fit.
S. Davis. S. Davis. I'm going to type that in here. So, S. Davis Fit Golf, right?
It's Golf Fit.
Oh, Golf Fit. Okay.
And then there's technically 2 Fs, golf and then fit.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, any recommendations for fitness for golf?
I would say so I started working with Par for Success, who they are up in, um, Durham, North Carolina, but
Mhm,
everything is virtual. First and foremost, just basic strength is gonna help you hit the ball farther. Just getting in the gym in general. And then I would say once you get to, not once you get to a certain point, but there's a lot of simple movements that you can do that are relative to your golf swing. TPI is incredible. They've identified, I want to say it's 16 different movements
mhm,
that are directly related to your golf swing. But like the truth of the matter is if you can't touch your toes, you're going to have a hard time. There's just simple stuff that everyday movements will benefit from.
mm,
A lot of stretching,
mm,
definitely hip movements, shoulders,
mhm,
your back. I would say there's so much good in just consistently going to the gym and
mhm.
doing exercises. And then
Right.
if there's certain areas where you feel that you want specific help on, I would say definitely reach out to someone who's TPI certified or like a
Mhm,
personal trainer, someone who's in fitness to
mhm.
help you accomplish those things.
Yeah, an exercise physiologist like Janice from last week. She was amazing.
Exactly.
I
There
love
we
that,
go.
who understands the biomechanics of the swing and
Yes,
understands from a golf standpoint how to train your body. And we often
yes.
overlook the importance of that, especially as we age. And last week we talked about sarcopenia, losing muscle mass after the age of 40. So we are losing muscle mass on a yearly, monthly basis. If you're not using it, you're losing it. So
Yeah,
uh, figure out a plan, a game plan for yourself to stay strong and to have,
absolutely.
a foundation of strength, with your lower body. That, your lower body and your trunk is your foundation. You need that more than your
Yes.
arms. Right,
Yes, and
Sarah?
take it from someone who is a gymnast for 12 years that
Wow.
still deals with hip problems, and I would say my hips move better than the average person, so
Yeah,
you should go start doing golf fitness with a
right,
trainer.
right.
120% recommend.
Right. I love that. Last week we had heard from somebody who was coming out of surgery, spinal surgery, I think, who was very frustrated that she couldn't really get the treatment to be able to get back on the course. Um, any thoughts about that in terms of injury, in terms of endurance, things that we should keep in mind as sometimes we're over exercising too. So
Totally.
keep in
I'm
mind,
guilty.
yeah, like if you are over exercising, you could be overdoing it and you're not giving your body the recovery and the rest that you need.
Yes.
And any thoughts about that in terms of injury, in terms of strength building? Um, it's not a
Yeah,
very
I would say that if you are dealing with, especially an injury that has just dealt with surgery, listen to your doctor and your PT and do not push it. Don't, if they tell you you're out for 3 months, take every minute of those 3 months and go at the rate that they allow you to, because I think one of the most frustrating things that I see for people is people that end up doing the procedure and sitting out for 2.5 months instead of the 3, and then they're still dealing with it years later.
Mm,
So just take all the time and
mm,
listen to your body. I mean, it's hard. I've just this last week been like, I've been in the gym every day for the last 6 months and I've been playing competitively. And I was just like, this last week, my body just feels like it's hit a wall. And I've just kind of let it, of like, just go and stretch. And I
mm.
still love the structure of the routine of going to the gym, but you don't have to hit it as hard. And listen to your body while still pushing yourself within its means. I mean, pushing yourself to gain muscle and strength, it sucks. It's not like an enjoyable thing to go push a ton of weight. It's hard. It's not exactly
Mm.
fun, but don't do it till injury. Like, definitely always be listening to your body.
I love that. Yeah, and Janice gave us some really great words of wisdom. It only takes 30 minutes, 2 or 3 times
Hmm.
to start building muscle, and also nutrition is really important too. So,
Yes. Yes.
all right, so we're about hitting the hour right now, and I don't know how these conversations, I'm like, "Oh, it might only be 30 minutes." Sarah, I'm so grateful. For those of you who are listening, what's your one takeaway? Type it into the chat. We would love to know what you got out of this conversation. I'm super, just type it into the chat. And I want to just thank you, Sarah. You are so amazing. She is
Yeah.
um, golf PGA pro instructor at Kiowa Island. She is so well loved by all the members. What is like 2,000 members at Kiowa Island Club? Is it 2,000 members, something like that?
It is.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
she is just raved upon, and we have friends who've gone to her and have said, "Oh my God, she helped me shave 5 strokes off my game," and it's true, because I've seen it.
Yep.
After they've come to you, they've really improved their game. So I'm so grateful.
That's
You
great.
guys definitely check out her Instagram page. You will get some
Please
amazing
do.
golf tips, and reach out if
And
she.
there's some short game stuff on there for the people looking for some short game. I have some good videos and actually a couple upcoming.
Awesome. Awesome. So what's next, Sarah? What's your next competition tournament? What are you training for?
Yeah, so I leave in the morning. I go to Michigan and I will play in my mom's member guest, which is one of my favorite things of the year.
Mm.
And then after that, I'm pretty much in the full swing. It's funny that I say that because I've been in the full swing since March. But I'll be in the full swing of competitive golf. I have the Low Country Open August 10th, and then the Women's Professional Championship. That's one of two women's tournaments that we have within our section. That's
Mm,
middle of August.
mm,
And then I have another 1 day event at the end of August. And then I have the PGA, what is it? The PGA Professional Championship at the beginning of September. So Definitely the time. I just got all my new Titleist equipment, which is incredible, and I'm getting my irons all figured out and getting ready. I mean, like I said, trying to let my body rest, but I've got tournaments lined up, so it can only rest so much.
That's awesome. Yes. So good luck, Sarah. We
Thank
wish you the
you.
best, and I can't wait to hear more about your wins. Thank you
Yes.
so much for your time, your precious time, and good luck at the
Yeah,
golf
of
course.
course.
Enjoy your mom, and I love that. So
Thank you.
that's what golf is about. You can play with your mom, you can
Yes.
play with your
Oh,
family.
and my grandma, it's the
Oh,
best.
that's
Yes.
amazing. That's amazing. Even if you
Yeah.
are joining the game of golf later on in life, like I have, it's just an amazing sport. It's really about you and yourself. Next week,
Yes.
this is a book, Getting Unstuck: 7 Transformational Practices for Golf Nerds. The author of this book, Tim O'Connor from Ontario, Canada, is joining us next week on Monday, the 28th. Please join us. He's a podcaster and author. It's going to be awesome. So I hope you guys can join back with me on Monday next week. It's at 6 p.m. because he's in a punk rock band. And he said, my practice starts at 7 p.m. So can we start a little early? So next week it's at 6 p.m. So hopefully you guys can join in on that. Thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you all for joining me. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week of golf. Awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Bye. Okay.